Welcome back. I'll be using a painter's tool. I've got my Klingon brand S50 paintbrush that I buy through Wise Owl. The S50 stands for short, 50 is the size. I just really like it. It gives me a lot of control. I've also got my Klingon brand R16 brush. It's a round brush. I really like this one too. Got my stir stick and my Crafters Fine Mist water bottle. So this sprays a real fine micro mist water. I use this when I'm working with chalk paint, especially on the real hot, dry days like today is. I've also got paper plates that I use, especially if I'm mixing colors together. Those are pretty handy. And I'm going to go into fast speed here so it's not quite so boring. Always want to stir your paint really well. The first color I'm using is called Abyss. It's a real deep blue-green color. And I'm going to go ahead and stir it really well with my craft stick. I try to stir for a minute, especially if it's a color that I haven't used for a while. So go ahead and just get a little bit on the brush, and I'm going to use my paper plate just to kind of thin it out a little bit so it's not going on so thick. I'm really going for kind of a watercolor look with this mirror, so I'm going to go ahead and get this down. I'm not putting it on thick, and I'm not really allowing it to dry. I'm kind of working it in with the Micro Mist water bottle just so that the color gets kind of everywhere. I'm going to just work my way around here. The technique I'm using right here is called stippling, and it's just basically pressing the brush up and down. I'm doing that because this is a real raised kind of decorative stuff right here, and I'm trying to get the paint to go down in between the cracks. So I'm going to continue doing that, continue using my water to kind of keep everything nice and wet so that it's easier to work around. I'm going to go ahead and start with the next color. This color is called River Rock. I love this color. It's kind of a greenish gray, and you can see how it compares to Abyss. Just going to spray down the whole mirror with the water bottle just to kind of keep everything nice and wet. Go ahead and get some River Rock on my plate. I'll just use the same plate. It doesn't really matter if the colors mix together because it's actually kind of the look I'm going for. So I'm going to go ahead and continue working River Rock in, and you can kind of see how it highlights some of the areas. It's just a little bit lighter of a color. I reuse my craft stir sticks over and over. I just kind of dry them off, use it for the next color. So this color is called Anchor. It's kind of a navy blue, pretty deep color. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this on actually with the little bit thicker paintbrush. I'm not going to put a whole lot of this onto the mirror. It's just going to be kind of a highlight color. So again with the water, using my stippling technique again. Just hitting the edges, kind of the high points of the mirror and the corners. It's very freeform. There's really nothing as far as rules go when you're doing this kind of painting. It's really just kind of blend it, and sometimes you'll want to do several layers, but here's kind of how it's starting to look. I love using all these different colors because it really gives it a deeper tone. So we're going to go with sea salt next. And sea salt is kind of a light gray, but it's got some green in it. So go ahead and get that on my plate and start working that in. Again, it's just kind of highlighting certain edges, certain areas. No rules. Just kind of making it up as I go. The last color I'm going to go ahead and put down is called Smoky Quartz. It's kind of a medium gray. I've got this one in a squeeze bottle, and I keep it in there because this is a color that I actually use quite a bit. So you can kind of see how things are looking. And that's it for the paint. So everything's been drying and curing. We're going to go ahead with the wax, and I'm using Wise Owl wax, which I love. It's beeswax and it's really nice. It's got a nice smell. It's easy to work with. I'm using a Wise Owl brush to put it on, and this is a dedicated wax brush that I use. I'm using white, and you really just need to have a little bit on the tips of your brush. And I'm going to go ahead and start working it in. It kind of is going to make everything look white, but what happens is once you get the wax on and then you go ahead and start buffing it, the color from the paint will come back through. The white just is going to settle into the cracks, and it's also going to seal the piece and protect it. And one thing you'll want to think about is that the paint really should dry for at least 48 hours. That allows it to cure fully before you start working the wax on. Kind of stippling the wax in here too to get it down into all the little crevices, which really will give it more of a depth when you look at it when it's buffed out and when it's all dry. I'm going to go ahead. I finished applying the wax. I just let it sit for a little bit, not too long, because you don't want it to start to cure. So I've just got a soft lint-free cloth, and I'm going to go ahead and buff, and you can see how it looks different when it's buffed out. And here we'll kind of zoom in so you can see it's got a little bit of a sheen to it, and you can see where I've buffed out and where I haven't buffed out quite yet. All the wax kind of settles into the creases, which is why I used white. So you can get an idea of how this is going to look. So I'm just finishing up buffing the wax out, and it's literally just rubbing it with a soft lint-free cloth. You want to use a clean cloth because if you've got something on it that is a residue, it'll transfer that color into the wax. So here's kind of how it looks. You can see how the different colors came out, and there's still some wax that I don't really want on here. So I'm actually going to get some Q-tips and I'll kind of clean it up a little bit, but this is kind of how it looks up close. So here we go with the Q-tips. Super simple, just kind of remove the excess in those cracks. It looks beautiful in the cracks, but you don't want it to be thick and globby looking, so that's kind of what I'm cleaning up at this point. And I've made it all the way around with the Q-tips. And this mirror is officially done. I just need to put the mirror back in and then put the backing on. I think updating this mirror with these colors is just beautiful, and I think it's great to see the gold go away. I think my friend will love it. Here's the before and after. I hope you enjoyed this video.